That was Florence Price's The Goblin and the Mosquito, and it was performed by Alexandra Dariescu. I'm Erica Worth and welcome to this Pianist podcast. Today I am catching up with the Romanian-British pianist who gives her BBC Proms debut this August. Alex, it's great to have you on the podcast today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Oh, you're very welcome. Well, we are here to talk about your Proms debut on the 5th of August. So should we kick off with that and tell listeners what we are going to expect?
Yes, well, it's definitely one of the biggest highlights of my career, and it's something that I've been dreaming of for a very long time. But good things happen to the people who wait.
Of course.
And this Proms debut will be incredibly special because we're doing a Proms premiere. I'll be performing the Fantasy Variée by Nadia Boulanger, written in 1912, and I'll be collaborating again with the Halle Orchestra and the music director with Kachun Wong. And I'm just so excited. I've played at the Royal Albert Hall many times, but the Proms is just such a special atmosphere. And of course, I've been going to so many concerts, and sort of on the way there cycling, it was actually the other week thinking, oh my goodness, I will be actually performing at the Proms. So it's really, really cool.
Yeah, I'm sure as a student, who would have dreamt you would be performing there one day yourself?
I know it's a beautiful feeling, and I think it's just something that inspires the younger generation as well. The fact that if you persevere and you work really hard and you never give up your dream, because the easiest thing is to give up.
Yes.
But honestly, in all truth, I think any young musician will tell you that sometimes, of course, even if it's challenging, you just have to keep going and really believe in your dream. And this has always been the dream, to travel and to be a concert pianist and perform all over the world. And it's such a blessing that I get to do what I love every single day.
Amazing. That's amazing. I mean, you have undergone an extraordinary journey to get here. I mean, you were determined to become a pianist whilst growing up in communist Romania in the 80s. What was that like in the 1980s?
1980s. Born towards the later part of that, but it was hard, of course. Any communist country going through that regime, it was just very difficult. And I remember my mom sacrificed everything, basically. I don't come from a family of musicians, so we never had a set path or anything, but my first encounter with music was through the church choir. The whole family would sing in it, and it was I was brought up in the Orthodox Church, and it was just the most beautiful way to spend summers. I used to go with my gran in the mountains to the monasteries, and the monks chanting was probably one of the first things I remember to do with music. And singing in the church choir every Sunday and every holy day. We had this beautiful 4-part choir, and that was the introduction. And for me, music, it was all about bringing people together and that beautiful feeling that community brings, and the joy of singing, of course. And I think the singing quality in my playing has always been something so important to me.
Absolutely.
But mum saved a lot of money to buy an upright piano, and she bought it just before I turned 7. And I went to the specialist music school then. I auditioned and I got in, and I had my debut with an orchestra when I was 9. So that was quite an incredible journey in 2 years to step on stage, and the whole orchestra was full of adults and I was the only child. So after doing that debut, which was probably one of the biggest things in my life, I very, very confidently declared that I'm going to be a concert pianist.
What did you play? What did you play for your 9-year-old debut?
I played Mozart Rondo in D major. And I think I was one of those children that really knew what they wanted from a really young age. And I consider myself really blessed because, especially nowadays, kids want to do everything, every week there's something different. But it's really a blessing to know what you want and to be focused and to be determined. And just whatever happens, you keep going.
My goodness, yes. And I mean, you won your first competition in Italy at the age of 10 as well, didn't you?
Yeah, and that's a really funny story because my mom and dad would always go on a little summer holiday to the seaside, and that summer I very strongly declared that I'm not going on holiday because I need to practice and I'm going to stay home with Gran to practice and go and take part in this competition. And I'm not going to lie, but there was some friction within the family. But I did stay home with Gran. This is how determined I was, age 10. And
Gosh.
I went to this competition in Italy and I won first prize. And I think it was the first time when my dad actually looked at me with a bit of pride.
Oh, how
Yes.
wonderful. Gosh, age 10, that's amazing. And then you moved to London. Age 16, age 17?
17, yes. I did lots of competitions when I was younger, and one of them was the Konstantin Silvestri scholarship. And this is how I moved to Yorkshire, actually, to Pocklington School, which was a beautiful school. And I had an amazing teacher. She was only 9 years older than I was,
Hmm.
very different to what I was used to in Romania. And after that year, which basically gave me so many wings and sort of that energy and my first time in contact with the UK, I loved it, and everyone just welcomed me with open arms. And then I had an audition at the RNCM and I got full scholarship for 4 years, which was very unheard of because, of course, everyone worries so much about the financial situation. And I was an overseas student as
Yeah.
well. And this was the Associated Board, the ABRSM scholarship I got for 4 years. And my time at the RNCM for my undergrad was really, really transformative.
Yeah.
It was really great because I had fantastic teachers. I studied with Mark Ray and with Nelson Gerner and Alexander Melnikov. And it was the first time when I met Sarandra Schiff, who invited me to do my debut at Carnegie Hall. And it was just incredible. And while I was at the RNCM, I won YCAT, which was the biggest step in anyone's career, basically, as a young artist to be selected by such a big
Yeah.
organization. And they were my first agents, and they gave me so many opportunities, and just sort of everything built up little by little. And then I moved to the Guildhall to London for my
Yes.
grad and for my fellowship, and it was just extraordinary. I mean, moving from Manchester to London, it was even bigger than moving from Romania to the UK.
I can't believe that.
Yeah, it just felt like that because the RNCM was sort of like the center of universe, in Manchester. And you went to the Bridgewater and you came back, and that was it. Basically, your whole life was around the RNCM. Whereas in London, of course,
Yeah.
like it's such an incredible city, and there's so much to do, and so many orchestras and
Yes.
concert halls and everything. So, and of course, the distances are a lot bigger
Yeah.
than in Manchester.
Did you find it a bit overwhelming at first,
I
or?
did. I did. Yeah, it took me about a year to get used to the whole thing. And it was a great lesson. And I sort of, as soon as I moved to London, I said, especially in the first year of studying at the Guildhall, I said, every week I'm going to do something different. So I visited so many museums and I went literally like, I learned London like the back of my hand. It was brilliant.
I mean, they say, I mean, I'm from the middle of England originally, but they say the northerners are much warmer than the southerners. Did you find it hard to connect to people, or did you find it a bit frostier down in London than up in Manchester?
I think it was the fact that in Manchester, everyone was living around the college. And if you wanted to make plans for tonight, you could. Whereas in London, let's face it, you need to make plans at least a week in advance, even as students, because distances, everyone is living sort of an hour and
Yeah,
a half away.
yeah,
But of course, London came with this incredible energy. And don't they say that when you're tired of London, you're tired of life? Oh my goodness, yes, that is so true.
totally.
And just to be amongst the best, like this is the thing that makes you be a better musician and makes you listen differently. And this is one thing that I always tell the younger generation, my students and everyone else: go to as many concerts as you can, because that's how you learn. You learn from either being in the audience or being next to the performers or playing with them on stage, of course. But at the beginning, you just go to everything and you inhale in that thirst, that curiosity that you need to have, not just for piano recitals. You learn most from orchestral concerts, from chamber music, from songs. So you need to love
Oh
that
my goodness.
as much as practicing.
You're a great example. I mean, makes me think I should be going to more concerts. But my goodness, any memorable ones? I mean, there must be dozens, but
Oh my
are
God.
there some that you were like that changed you forever? I don't know,
I
some.
mean, let's face it, we've got the best of the best in London. And I think when Enescu's Oedipe was brought to the Royal Opera House, for me as a Romanian, that was something really incredible.
Oh.
It was just fantastic. And I remember Yurovsky brought the third symphony of Enescu at the Royal Festival Hall, and
Mm.
that was just an extraordinary occasion. Well, of course, like just every concert you go to, you learn so much from
Oh,
it.
oh, that's amazing. And talking about Romania, you're the first female pianist to perform at the proms, aren't you? First female Romanian pianist to perform at the proms.
Yes, I mean it's so humbling. It's so exciting. No pressure. um, just to know that from very far apart, honestly, I am stepping in Radu Lupu's footsteps because he was the only other Romanian that performed at the proms. And it's really interesting because I was on a panel for the Royal Philharmonic Society and we're talking about nationality and identity, and I've lived in this country for more than half of my life. I've been British for so long, and it's so interesting, like no one chooses where they're born.
Mm,
That's not something that you choose, but it's so important when you live in a country, especially like Britain, to really get involved in everything. And I really feel like I am a Romanian, but I am so proud to be British as well. And
yes.
it's an extraordinary combination of the both. And I feel so lucky, really, and blessed that I've had the best out of both cultures and being
Yes.
able to train from the best in both countries as well.
No, I agree. Did you ever hear Lupu live?
I did, and I met him, and he took my hands. Oh my goodness, this was the last concert that he did when he did Beethoven 4 with Pavo Yerbi in London, and it was his last performance in London. And I went backstage, and he took my hands, and he had the most velvety um, fingers, and it was sort of like he gave me this giant hug, and he said, "I've heard your Tchaikovsky." And I literally teared up because I was like, I didn't even know he knew of me. And he became ill. Well, he was already ill, but he gave me his mobile number and he said, just get in touch and I would love to hear you. And it was sadly never happened because he was so ill and he didn't do that towards the end of his life. But it was just the most beautiful encounter.
What
Yes.
an amazing story. Because he wasn't known to be very social either, was he? So just to
No,
know
that
you
was
and
the
be so,
surprise. That was the
yeah.
surprise. He was so sensitive and so generous. And I remember there was a very big queue at the festival hall, and he just had time to speak to everyone. And he was incredibly kind. And I think, any musician, they just opening their soul when they perform, whether they like to do interviews or not, like you see their heart and soul when they perform. And I think that was such a beautiful thing from his character.
That's amazing. You're very lucky there. Now, moving on more to today, you've become quite an authoritative voice on women composers. Um, it's an important mission of yours, yes?
It really is because, uh, let's put things in perspective. Women were not allowed in the Berlin Phil until 1982. Well, that was before I was born, but Vienna Philharmonic was 1997. So if you think about that, it's just unbelievable. And I grew up like probably most of us with music by Bach, Beethoven, Rachmaninoff, Tchaikovsky, you name it, all incredible voices and never taken away any of their credit or anything. But it was only when I came to the RNCM that I actually met a female composer. And it was Emily Howard who actually wrote a concerto for me, Mesmerism, that we performed with the Royal Liverpool Philharmonic
Mm.
and we recorded it and it received the British Composer Award. And that was the first time when I thought, whoa, women do write. And that was the start of my journey. So this is really a long time ago. And I've been very fortunate to be invited to play with different orchestras. The BBC Symphony, for certain, is just such a great champion in promoting female composers. And they opened up so many new horizons for me. The Nadia Boulanger, I performed in London the first time with them. It was at the Barbican, and there's so many concertos like the Doreen Carwithen or Leucadia Kashperova or Dora Pejacevic, Florence Price, of course, and there are incredible voices that I really feel, especially in this day and age when everyone is fighting for equality, it's so important for us, especially in classical music. We are a lot more behind than, let's say, film or any other art industries. To give a voice uh, to women, to composers of color, to any other minorities that have not had the chance to have their voices heard. So for me, it's not taken away from the geniuses of male composers that we've had in the past, but it's just giving an equal voice to the other voices that really need to be heard.
Absolutely, and that's most probably why in the 2024, the last Leeds International Piano Competition, you presented the inaugural Alexandra Dariescu Award for an outstanding performance of a work by a woman composer.
I felt that was a really, I don't know, it was high time for an award like that to take place. And I found an amazing partner in the Leeds competition, and the team there is just so supportive. And, you know, no one makes it on their own. So it's about working together and collaborating and making change, not just talking about it. And I feel we need to start from a really young age with this award. Of course, there was a financial incentive, but there were performing opportunities as well, solo as well as concertos. And I think if you give that incentive to a young artist, well, the result was very clear because most of them chose to perform a work by a female composer in the competition. So that's slowly changing the perspective. And I think the younger generation nowadays has a different upbringing than we did. We didn't know of all of these female composers, whereas the Done Foundation has more than 5,000 female composers on their website.
The which foundation? What?
Donne Foundation, Donne.
Okay.
It's a brilliant foundation that basically amplifies the voices of female composers, and there are so many out there. You know, it's not that there's no directory or there's no research done into this. No, there is, and it's a choice. But that's why I feel if we introduce that from a young age, then the students learn this repertoire, then the orchestras will program it, then radio presenters will talk about it, then radio orchestras will program it, and so on and so on. So that's why it's very much this initiative that I really think it's changing things, and we will continue with it for sure.
Which was the piece then in the Leeds in the 2024? Which was the piece that the winner of that award? Who was the composer?
It was Junian who won the second prize, and she won my award, and she performed Un Succin Etudes.
Okay.
That was the piece that she won with. Fantastic. And she was a fantastic performer, and I think she's got a great career ahead of her.
Absolutely, absolutely. And talking about Leeds still, anything about 2027? That's the next edition, isn't there? Anything you'd like to divulge? I know you presented at the 2024 competition. I know, 2027 is happening quite soon. Anything you'd like to say about it?
Well, I'm thrilled. I'll be joining Petrov Trelawney again, and we will be co-presenting together, which will be I mean, I adored working with him and, of course, with the whole team at the Leeds. But I've learned so much from Petrov, and he's just so charismatic and energetic. And my goodness, so much to learn from him. So I'm thrilled they've asked me again. It was my first time presenting, so that was a baptism by fire. I'm not going to lie.
Really?
It was live. Yes, it was extraordinary. It was such a cool experience. I remember the first session, it was sort of Petrov leading on all the questions. And the second day, they gave me a tiny little segment. And the third day, they were like, okay, go backstage and do an interview on your own. So I felt, well, yes, hurrah, I'm doing something right.
Excellent.
But no, it was great energy, and of course the competitors were fantastic. And I mean, it's the place to be in September, really.
Yes, absolutely. And it'll come about so quickly now. We're already
Oh, I know. Just time flies. It really does.
Absolutely, absolutely does. And now onto your recordings. I mean, you've come up with such lovely, interesting recordings, such as The Nutcracker and I and A Child's Dream. Which was first? It was The Nutcracker and I, wasn't
It
it?
was, yes. I mean, The Nutcracker and I is a production. It was the first time when I was a producer. It was the biggest undertaking of my entire life, honestly. And we did the world premiere of this production for piano ballerina in digital animation in 2017, which seems like 100 years ago. And ever since the premiere, we did this audio book as well with Lindsay Russell, who was on Blue Peter. She was the presenter on Blue Peter, and this incredible show. I mean, it's a piano recital really with one ballerina that
Yeah.
plays Clara, and all the other characters they digitally animated. So incorporated very cool technology in order to attract the younger generation in the concert hall and to build bridges for those that were perhaps new to classical music. And it's been an unbelievable journey. I mean, I could have never in my wildest dreams hoped or dreamt that it would be such a huge success. And we've traveled the entire world with it.
That's amazing. And do you travel with the ballet dancer, or do you?
It's the three of us, so it's the Nutcracker for three people, as it were. Myself, the ballerina, and the technical producer. And we set up, and then we normally do two performances in a day because the recital is 50 minutes. And it's the hardest piece of music I've ever played because it's all the Pletnev and the Percy Grainger arrangements. So it's not an easy feat whatsoever. But it's incredible, and the most fulfilling thing for me was one, to travel the world with it, but second, to see three or even four generations from the same family at the same piano recital, which, let's face it, it doesn't happen. So it shows that when you use technology in a constructive way and where music is still at the forefront, but let's face it, us artists, we are storytellers. So if we're actually taking the audience on a journey and we're showcasing what we're imagining and it's inspiring and beautiful, then you see grandparents with their grandchildren coming at the same show, essentially. And it's been the ride of my life. We celebrated the 100th performance back at Milton Court at the Barbican last December. And we keep on going. It's the 9th year that we're touring this Christmas. And actually, we're doing it at the Colmar Festival in France in July. So
it doesn't have to be around Christmas time then.
Doesn't, no.
That's remarkable. It seems that every single idea you have just becomes a huge success. Isn't that amazing? It must be your passion. Your passion for
a lot of passion. It's relentless work, I'm not gonna lie, but of course they say, when you do what you love, it's not really work, but there is a lot of work. And I'm very blessed because I have an incredible team behind me that really help. And I just believe so much in teamwork. But I think artists nowadays, it's all about creating and coming up with new ideas. And even with the recordings, A Child's Dream, this was basically one of my most special recordings. And it was recorded with the Academy of St. Martin in the Fields, an orchestra that I basically grew up listening to, and I never imagined I would record with them. But the reason why I called this album A Child's Dream is because it was 30 years since my debut with the orchestra. And that's why we recorded the Mozart Rondo. And it was sort of going back in time to the very, very beginning and reflecting on, my goodness, that tiny little child who was 9. And when I stepped on stage as a 9-year-old, I tripped and I fell, and the music stands were on the floor and the sheet music was flying, and the conductor thought that was the end of it. And my mom almost had a heart attack. But in those situations, you either start crying and you give up, or you pick yourself up. And that's what I did, of course. And that was the best lesson I could have had from the very beginning, that if you fall, and we all do physically or otherwise, you have to pick yourself up and keep going. And going back on this album, A Child's Dream, recording most of the encores that have been with me from the beginning. A lot of female composers, a lot of composers of color, we had 4 premieres on this disc, and it's basically a showcase of a concerto and chamber music and solo pieces. So it's what I do now. So it was a beautiful celebration, for number 10. And of course, number 11 is coming in September
I
so
know.
quickly.
And that's Doreen Carr Withen's
With
piano
them.
concert. Piano
Yes,
concert.
British
Yeah.
composer Doreen Carr-Withen, who was only known as the wife of William Alwyn. And she wrote a brilliant 30-minute concerto in 1948. We performed it actually at the Barbican with the BBC Symphony and with Manchester Camerata. And I'm thrilled that this disc is happening, and it's coming out on the 4th of September,
Yes.
so a month after the proms.
Brilliant.
And it's an incredible piece.
Yes.
Doreen Carr-Withen was the first composer for film, female composer for film, and she actually won so many awards. But because she got married, then she thought she had to be in the shadows of her husband. So it's wonderful to be able to give her voice back and do this recording. And it was a brilliant collaboration with Manchester Camerata and John Andrews, the conductor. So yeah, I can't wait for this Match Live.
Can't wait to hear it. Not long now. You've wrapped it up then. You've done the edits and everything.
Yes, it's almost receiving life as it is.
Fantastic. I mean, you are very busy. You're performing a lot, you're recording a lot, but you obviously find the time to take your role as a teacher seriously. You're professor at the Guildhall School. You find it important to teach. Yeah.
I do, yes. I started 4 years ago. I had a job at the RNCM for 2 years, and then the traveling was just insane from London to Manchester and then going on tour the next day. So I am at the Guildhall now, and that's where I did my master's. So it's actually so nice to come back in a different capacity, in a different role. And it's tough, I'm not going to lie, because it's one-to-one teaching, and I do take mostly postgrad students or artist diploma. And I've got a small class, I've got 4 students, but they require a lot, and everyone is so different, and you have to be tuned into their psychology. And I think the younger generation are very different than how we were as students,
Yeah.
And in some good ways, in my opinion, not such good ways, but it's about tailoring your teaching to each of them and encouraging them to be on their unique path, because no one can imitate someone else's journey and think, oh, I want to be exactly like that.
Yeah.
It's about them finding their own voice. And I think the sooner they find their musical identity, the better it is.
Yeah.
It's becoming increasingly harder and harder, I feel, for the young generation. But in the same time, Sir Clive Gillinson from the Carnegie Hall, he said, there's no better time to be an artist than now. And I think we need to have that positive outlook as well, and
yes.
The industry has changed so much, because 20, 30 years ago, you did one competition or you did one Wigmore or one big concerto and you got an amazing review in the Times and your career was set. Whereas nowadays, there's so many competition winners, like they win 10, 12 of them, and they don't actually have a career.
Yes.
So it's so important to find whatever you believe in and what you're good at as well, because as a first year undergrad, everyone wants to play the big Rachmaninoff and Tchaikovsky and everything, and you don't even know whether your physicality will help you.
Yeah.
So you have to think from so many different perspectives, to see what actually suits you, not just what you love listening to. Yeah. So it's a fascinating process, and I believe I'm learning as much as the students, as much as I'm learning from the students, as much as they learn from me. And it's definitely a two-way relationship. And I love the Guildhall, I have to say. It's very close to home as well, so I just go on my bike.
Is it? You live in the neighborhood? You live in that neighborhood?
I live, very centrally, so that I'm close to any airports and transport. But no, it's brilliant to do that. It takes a lot of energy, but it's actually quite humbling and quite grounding, especially after so much touring.
Oh, Wonderful. I'm
Yeah.
so glad you're enjoying it. Now, as we're coming towards the end, this is whizzing through, of course. I'd like to ask you some questions to round things off. There's some light-hearted questions, and if you just answer them off the cuff, yeah? Okay,
Yes.
so here we go. Here's the first one. If you could play only one composer from now on, who would it be?
Mozart.
Mm, why?
Because you've got everything in Mozart. And when you're a child, you think that's the easiest thing that you can play. And when you're an adult, it's the most difficult. But you've got joy, which I really believe we all need in our lives.
Yeah.
You've got sorrow, you've got everything in it. So, yes,
Fantastic. I like that. One pianist, dead or alive, you travel long and far to hear.
Dino Lipati.
Oh, you
Yeah.
listen to his recordings,
Oh
obviously.
my goodness, yes. I would have, oh, yes, it would have been amazing to be around him.
What do you think was so special about his interpretations?
The sound. I think
Sound.
that was the most unique thing, and his way of phrasing, but the sound of voicing. And it's very much like Radulupu, when he voiced, when he played the chord. I mean, that had meaning. Every single note spoke.
Yes.
Um, yes.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. One person, dead or alive, you'd love to play for.
Nadia Boulanger. She probably would have ripped me to bits.
Ah,
I would have loved to play to her for sure. I mean, she's known as one of the greatest influences on all musicians in the last 100 years. I would have loved to be in her presence, even from afar. But no, she was a very tough cookie.
yes.
But I think I would have learned a lot from her.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Wonderful. Do you have any technical struggles?
Well, it was interesting. In my upbringing, I had two brilliant teachers, but we always went through the technicality of any piece by working on sound. So I was only sent one summer away to learn the complete Czerny etudes, which I did. I mean, that was hell, I'm not gonna lie. But technique for me was never taught separately. It was
Yeah.
always part of the piece and part of the storytelling and working through.
Yeah, very good answer. Very good answer. What would be your advice to an amateur pianist about how to improve?
Even if you practice a very short amount of time, it's perseverance, is consistency.
Mm,
And always start with the most difficult passage. I know it's so easy to start at the beginning because we know that bit, but do start with the most difficult ones. And if you do a mistake, don't think that it will automatically correct itself. Just spend a bit of time and slow practice. And I think this is valid for an amateur pianist, but also for students and for anyone, any musician. Slow practice does it.
great. The hardest parts first.
Oh,
It's
yes.
difficult, isn't it? Okay, if you weren't a pianist, what would you be?
See, we went through COVID, we went through so many challenges, and whatever the challenges, I could never be anything else. I've never ever thought of becoming anything else.
Oh my
So
goodness.
it's a calling. I really believe that it's not something that you just decide to do. It's something that it's in you. And as I said, I felt so blessed from a really young age to know what I want to do. But it's the same. The feeling is the same, and it's the same curiosity and energy that I get every morning to practice, to live out of a suitcase and everything. So I love this lifestyle. It's not a job.
It's interesting. I wonder what would have happened if you hadn't been singing in those choirs when you were a little girl.
I know, I know. But I never went to become a singer or anything. Like, even if we started with singing, it was the piano. It was like as if it was just meant to be.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Last question. One composer you're not quite ready to tackle.
I'm still staying away from Schubert.
Mm.
And probably there will be lots of time when I'm a bit wiser, when I'm a bit older, when um, I don't know, it's just opening your heart in a completely different way when you play Schubert. So I'm still not tackling it. I've studied lots of his sonatas and impromptus and everything, but I'm not actively performing them at the moment.
It's a bit scary, Schubert, isn't it? Mind you, Mozart really is scary, but there's
Yeah,
something,
totally.
something about Schubert. It's that same subtlety, and every note matters, but it does in with every composer, doesn't it? Oh gosh, well listen, it's been wonderful speaking to you. I know you're very busy because I think you're off on tour shortly, aren't you?
Yes, it's a really busy time, but summer festivals, they're always happening. And I'm doing 6 different programs in the next 6 weeks, culminating with the proms. But it's really cool. I'm very excited. Just before the proms, 4 days before, I'm in the US, performing James Lee III, an Afro-American composer who wrote a concerto for me, which we premiered with Detroit and BBC Phil. And because it's the 250th US independence anniversary, we're performing this concerto, and it's a mammoth piece. It's about 37 minutes, and it's a war horse. And I'm performing that in Santa Cruz. And then literally, as soon as I finish, whizzing to the airport, San Francisco, London, and I go straight into rehearsals for the proms with the Halle.
You better get over your jet lag.
I think the adrenaline will, and the energy, the excitement of playing at the proms will just carry me through. So very exciting few weeks coming up.
Oh, well, that sounds wonderful. And I must say, this conversation has been very exciting.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I love the questions.
Oh, thank you. And I'll definitely be there on the 5th of August at the proms. So yeah, I really look forward to it. Everybody get your tickets now. But thanks so much for speaking to me today, Alex.
Thank you so much. Loved it.
And good luck with the whole of the summer.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. That was Germaine Taillefer's Romance, and it was performed by Alexandra Dariescu. Pianist podcasts are free, and a really good way to support what we do is by subscribing to Pianist. Visit our website at pianistmagazine.com and listen to us on YouTube by searching Pianist Magazine. And don't forget to sign up to our newsletter, which is full of extra playing tips and useful information. Go to pianistmagazine.com to find out how to sign up.